Activision has continuously reminded us over the last few years that their avarice knows no bounds. Just when you think the publisher has reached a pinnacle of greed, they somehow find a way to push the envelope even further and top their previous endeavors. There's no better example of this than Call of Duty Black Ops 4, whose egregious take on Fortnite's Battle Pass has been the source of much controversy, and which recently added insult to injury by charging money for one of the most insignificant in-game items that has ever been sold. I'm of course referring to the fact that Activision charged $1 for what essentially amounted to a red dot, a minuscule circular reticle for the game's reflex sight. There is nothing special about it, it's just any old reticle you might find on a site like this. It takes a special kind of stinginess, pettiness, and desperation for a company to decide to strip something so trivial from a game and sell separately. Now, I wish I could tell you that's the end of it, but there is no such thing as enough for Activision. Despite the backlash they garnered from having sold a red dot for $1, the company decided to double down with their latest addition to Black Ops 4's in-game store. The following information was first brought to light by website Multiplayer First, which recently published an article detailing yet another insignificant and overpriced item that Black Ops 4 is featuring in its store, the Black Market. What you're looking at here, ladies and gentlemen, is yet another reticle for a reflex sight, this time in the form of a smiley face that's being sold for roughly $2, a step above the red dot's $1. Here's a screenshot from website Eurogamer showing what the reticle looks like in action. Much like the red dot, there's nothing particularly special about it, with its primary function being cosmetic. Now, what makes this smiley face reticle particularly egregious is that it's not even a brand new creation. Players quickly discovered that this very same reticle can be found in previous Black Ops games. Here's a screenshot of the smiley face reticle as seen in Black Ops 1, and here's another screenshot of the reticle as seen in Black Ops 3. As you can see, Black Ops 4 smiley face is virtually identical to the one found in Black Ops 1, though the Black Ops 3 one does differ a bit in that the smile is slightly curved. Regardless, the bottom line is that this is one of those items that took little to no effort to make, both because there's nothing difficult about creating a smiley face and because it's not even new content, and yet Activision has the audacity to charge $2 for it, further goading players by labeling it a legendary item. Best part is that the in-game version of the smiley face isn't even a fully accurate representation of what was shown in store. Notice how the store's version features cheek marks on each end of the smile, while said marks are absent in-game. This isn't even the first time something like this has happened either. A Reddit post from last month noted how this reflex sight reticle of a bullet with a crosshair-like shine mark on the tip as shown in store was not only represented in much lower quality in-game, but it was also missing the crosshair-like shine. So Activision isn't just charging people for overpriced reticles, the reticles themselves aren't even up to standards on numerous occasions, making compromises here and there. I'll remind you again that this is on top of all of the other monetization schemes featured in Black Ops 4, from its Battle Pass style reward system whose progression is artificially slowed down to encourage players to spend money on leveling up or purchase out-of-reach cosmetic items directly from the black market, to the fact that Black Ops 4 launched as a full $60 game plus the $50 season pass that costs almost as much as the base game. One excuse people like to use to defend the inclusion of microtransactions in their favorite AAA games is that they are necessary for developers to afford releasing free content and updates. Well, first of all, there are plenty of games out there that have offered free content releases and updates without shoving in egregious microtransactions, with Splatoon 2 and Monster Hunter World being among the most prominent examples. Secondly, Black Ops 4 doesn't even have that going for it. Unlike most other publishers, Activision decided to both recurrently monetize the game and charge extra cash for new map packs via the $50 season pass, rather than keep the player base unified by releasing map packs pro bono for everyone. Make no mistake, they can afford to release free map packs with the ludicrous amount of money they earned from Black Ops 4 copies sold alone, and from microtransactions on top of that, and yet they refuse to do so because they're so intent on monetizing every facet facet of the game. It's on top of all this that Activision's going as far as charging money for low-effort in-game items and stripped customization features like the $1 red dot reticle and the $2 smiley face reticle that's been featured in past games. One can hardly call selling these items necessary considering how much revenue Black Ops 4 generated across the board, but as I've said many times, the word enough does not exist in Activision's dictionary. Then again, Activision has become more and more dependent on Call of Duty being their primary revenue stream after facing downturns on other fronts recently. You may recall that it wasn't long ago that the publisher decided to cut ties with Bungie and the Destiny franchise after the partnership failed to yield the level of financial success they had hoped for. Beyond that, Activision ran plenty of other once profitable and once desired franchises into the ground, leaving the company with less sources of income than ever. Call of Duty and Blizzard franchises are pretty much what's keeping Activision afloat at this point, well, alongside the myriad microtransactions-infested mobile games. On top of all that, 2018 ended up being a rough year for Activision, with the Diablo Immortal announcement completely backfiring on them, with Destiny Forsaken having commercially disappointed, with investors being disappointed that Black Ops 4 didn't outsell past entries by a vast margin, and with the publisher having reported that overall monthly active users across all their franchises have dipped slightly, all compounded by the stock market freefall that was taking place at the time. Making matters worse is that 2019 does not look to be much better for the company, having very few noteworthy games launching this year. They've obviously got a new Call of Duty game launching in the fall, they're publishing Sekiro Shadows Die Twice and Crash Team Racing, and that's about it. So perhaps it should come as no surprise that Activision is attempting to weather out their current financial downturn by monetizing the hell out of their current golden geese. It's akin to how EA, a company that's become far too dependent on FIFA's microtransactions for a huge portion of their annual revenue, refuses to dial back the glorified gambling in Ultimate Team. Titles like Call of Duty and FIFA are the financial lifeline of these companies, so they'll naturally ensure these titles milk players dry at every turn, even if they have to stoop to the level of selling mere dots and smiley faces at ludicrous prices. What these game companies are bafflingly too blind to see, however, is that there's only so much of your reputation you can exchange for short-term profit before the long-term consequences come back to bite you in the ass. In the case of Activision, there is no better example of this than Destiny, a franchise that had all the potential of becoming a massive long-term success before Activision and Bungie botched it by prioritizing monetization over integrity. The franchise's reputation was sacrificed for a quick influx of cash, and the long-term result was that it drove away consumers outright, a fatal blow the franchise never recovered from. Even in this precarious position, Activision proposed to investors that they would be seeking new monetization opportunities for the game, when monetization was what killed the game, drove away players, and led to financial disappointment in the first place. It's only now that Bungie has split with Activision while taking Destiny with them that a renewed interest has sparked for the disgraced IP. It's almost as if greedy game publishers forget that a game cannot be monetized if there aren't people playing it, that consumers and their satisfaction are, in the end, the lifeblood of any live service. Which is why, much like Destiny, there's only so much further Activision can keep driving scummy business models on Call of Duty, and so many times they can burn consumers with insulting gestures like charging $1 or $2 for insignificant reticles before players decide en masse that their time and money is better spent elsewhere. These are one man's perspective anyway. Let us know in the comments below what your take is on Activision charging $2 for an old smiley face reticle in Black Ops 4. With that, I would like to end this news update. Thank you for tuning in. To be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.